So it seems like Collin Sexton is finally getting the attention and recognition he deserves as one of the league's finest young players. He has been putting up great numbers for a while, but most of the attention came after the game against Brooklyn when everybody was anticipating the return of Kyrie to finally see the first game of the Brooklyn Big Three playing together. To which Collin Sexton responded by dropping 42 points, beating them not once but twice, while of course wearing Kyrie's jersey and his shoes. But I'm sure he doesn't mind, right? In all seriousness though, Collin Sexton is slowly ascending before our eyes, and if you've known about Collin Sexton for a long time, this isn't a surprise. He was a star in college and his last year of high school, but it wasn't always like that. There was one summer in particular in which Collin Sexton separated himself from other high school players, and that's in the summer of 2016. At the beginning of that year, Collin Sexton was just another high school athlete in his junior year. He was unranked, but worked like a top 5 recruit. He was doing 3 workouts a day even on school days, which included one in the morning before school, weights in the afternoon, and another workout at night in which he couldn't leave the gym until he had made 300 shots. Not take, but make. That season, he averaged 29 points and led his team to the state championship game, but they lost. And after that loss, the coach asked the underclassmen to write down some goals for the next season, and Collin Sexton had goals that a player in his position could only dream about. Sexton wrote that he wanted to lead the EYBL in scoring, earn an invite to try out for Team USA, and be named a McDonald's All-American. He knew just how big those goals were because he was quoted saying, "That's a tough list, but I'm dedicated to making it happen. This season is just proving what I already knew. With hard work, anything is possible." In May 2016, he made his way to the EYBL circuit, where he just absolutely dominated. By the end of the tournament, he led the league in scoring, averaging 30.1 points, but there were stretches where he averaged even more. He remembers coming out the gate averaging like 35, and to his surprise, everything was just too easy for him. After all, he was an unranked player going against some of the top players. He talked about it saying, "I think I came out the gate averaging like 35, and not that 35 where you're pressing for it. I was getting buckets like it was nothing, like I was the best player in the gym." And it's not hard to believe that he was. I mean, who does this in a tied game in overtime with less than 2 minutes left in the game? He even dropped a highly ranked player with an ankle breaker and then hit the shot right there. And he capped off the night with a game winner that gave him 44 points. By the end of the EYBL circuit, he held the scoring record for most points averaged, and not only that, but he also got a multitude of schools recruiting him. Lead EYBL in scoring, check, and this earned him an invite to try out for Team USA. He still had a chip on his shoulder because the tryouts were filled with players who were highly ranked, which gave them an edge over the unranked Sexton. He was determined to be as prepared as possible, and he was working with his coach, pushing himself to the limits. So much so that on one afternoon, while he was training to improve his conditioning with an altitude mask on, he collapsed on the school track, and when his coach rushed to check on him, Sexton just got back on his feet and was preparing to finish the drill. With this kind of work, Sexton, still unranked, went to the tryouts, and with the role he was on, he made the U17 team. And he was coming off the bench, but after a few games he was promoted to the starting lineup. And by the end of it, with Team USA winning it all, Collin Sexton messed around and won MVP. At this point, there was no denying that Sexton was one of the best in the country, and by the time the rankings were updated in his senior year, he was ranked among the top 25. And people were doing whatever it took just to come watch Collin Sexton play.
This is where I'm getting up. I left for a girl. The boss said, "Where you going?" The boss asked me. The boss said, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm leaving to go see Collin Sexton." He said, "You ain't gonna have a job tomorrow." I said, "Well, we'll deal with that tomorrow." Straight up.
With all the media attention he was now getting, we were seeing his hunger, fearless attitude, and tenacity firsthand. For the first time, we were introduced to moments which showed us that Sexton was exactly what many advertised. Like when he told NBA legend Penny Hardaway that his son was trash in front of a whole crowd before dropping 33 points on him. We also saw him walk into the basket, saying "game" in an almost creepy fashion, only to come out of the timeout and drain a deep game winner. We also saw his scuffle with another top point guard at the time, Jalen Hands, And my personal favorite, the time a defender tried to intimidate Collin by staring at him at the free throw line, only for Sexton to stare back into his soul. Sexton continued to excel and his ranking rose up to number 7 in the country. He also achieved another one of his goals when he became a McDonald's All-American and went on to even put on a show in the dunk contest, which he eventually won. Earn an All-American selection? Check. At this point, he had achieved all the goals he had set out to achieve and had even surpassed them. He also made the Jordan Brand Classic and Nike Hoop Summit Games. With this success, he was now heading to Alabama, where he had an incredible season. He would turn heads once again in a game which ended up being a literal 3 versus 5, when Collin and 2 of his teammates had to play against Minnesota and nearly beat them, as Sexton scored 10 points in the last 13 minutes and finished the game with 40 points. He also led the school program to the NCAA tournament in dramatic fashion after putting up a game-winning runner at the buzzer after running the full court in 4 seconds. Now we know that he's in the league as he was selected 8th overall in the draft, and I'm looking forward to the kind of player Sexton will become, especially now that he's found stability in Cleveland after the hiring of Coach Bickerstaff. That's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. Check out my other videos, but until next time, peace out, man.